All right, if you are trying these but you are struggling a little bit, I just wanted to do one through that you could watch and maybe it would help you. So the first thing you always want to do is factor the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do number 2. When I factor the top, I'm looking for 12 in a way that subtracts to be 1. So I'm going with 4, 3 to get a positive 1. I'm going to use that. The bottom is the difference of squares, so I end up with that. These cancel, so my finished product in terms of being simplified looks like this. Okay, awesome. Now, walk yourself through the steps. Holes in the graph come from canceled factors. So I canceled x plus 4. The 0 that would go with that would be a negative 4. Since the beginning of time, to find the y when you know the x, you have plugged it in. So I'm going to plug in a negative 4 to this equation. That's going to put me at negative 4 minus 3, so negative 7 on top. Negative 4 minus 4, so negative 8 on the bottom. So the negatives cancel, and I'm going to have a hole in my graph at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 eighths, which clearly it doesn't matter if you get that accurate. You just want to make sure you're above the x-axis. Keeping in mind that holes in your graph affect the domain and the range. So I'm going to go ahead, if I think of it now, to say, hey, I already know that x cannot be negative 4 because that was the x coordinate of my hole. And for the range, the y's can be anything, but so far they can't be 7/8 because that was the y coordinate for the hole in the graph. And since it's a hole in the graph doesn't go there, and therefore it is not part of the domain and range. Alrighty, how about vertical asymptotes? Those come from the remaining leftover bottom, and I need to set the bottom equal to 0. So here is the bottom, x minus 4. Setting that equal to 0, I get a 0 at x equals positive 4. So then at 1, 2, 3, positive 4, I'm going to draw in my vertical asymptote. Also, vertical asymptote values impact the domain. So I'm done with my domain. I have the 2 restrictions there. The restrictions for domain come specifically from the x part of the holes and any vertical asymptote values. The range will come from the y part, which is why that's there, and then any horizontal asymptote values. So let's see if we have that. Looking back at my chart, what do I look at? I look at the 2 leading terms and I compare their degrees. Well, the top is a 2, the bottom is a 2. So in this case, from horizontal asymptote, the top degree equals the bottom. So look at your chart, and it should tell you that when that's the case, your horizontal asymptote is at y equals the coefficients. So this is 1x squared over 1x squared. So when the x squareds cancel, I'm left with y equals 1. So I'm going to draw in my asymptote right there at 1. I'm also going to add that value to the restrictions on my range because horizontal asymptotes impact that. You can never have horizontal and slant asymptotes, so as soon as I saw that there is a horizontal asymptote, I know that there is not a slant asymptote. Looking at my chart, x-intercepts are found by setting the top equal to 0. So go up here, take a look at the top, x minus 3. When will that be 0? Well, when x is 3. So at 3 for an x value, I'll get a 0 for the y, which means that here at 1, 2, 3, that's one spot that my graph is going to cross the x-axis. The last thing I have to find then is the y-intercept, and if you read your chart, it says to plug in x equals 0. So I'll have, using this equation, 0 minus 3 over 0 minus 4, which will reduce to 3/4. So when I put in a 0, I got out a 3/4. So that's going to be right there underneath my asymptote. So I filled in all my information, and now I have to draw the graph. So when you go to do the graph, you have to look at the left of each asymptote and to the right. In this one on the left, I know where the graph is going to be. I have to decide if it's above or below this horizontal asymptote, and it has to be below because I already have a hole and 2 points down there. So you know that when you graph these, they always follow the asymptotes. So I know that it's going to go off to the right, just under that asymptote. It's going to come back through here and then have to scoot down to stay on the left of that asymptote. So I'm scooching that thing underneath there. I'm trying to keep this open so that the world knows that's a hole. Now I don't know whether this one's going to end up above or below the asymptote on the right. It's common for them to be kitty corner, like diagonal, but it's not always. So this is where on your chart it says that sometimes you have to do a test point. Since my asymptote was at 4 and I'm wondering about the right side of it, I'm going to go ahead and test 5. So I'm using the same equation that I've been using for the entire problem. 5 minus 3 over 5 minus 4 will give me 2 over 1. So when I count over to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to go up to 2, which is all I need, because now I know it's not a question anymore. I know that my graph will be located above the horizontal asymptote, so I do my best to sketch it in there, staying away from the asymptotes. So hopefully that helps you. You just got to have your chart out. You got to walk yourself through the steps. And even though there are a lot of steps, each one of them is pretty manageable. Hope that helps, guys. Bye.